Hello and welcome to Africa Today. I am Esther Mokwariola. In a continent where politics influences almost everything, Africa finds itself faced with a complicated set of complex challenges now more than ever. It has been a rocky start for Africa's most populous nation, where concern seems to be growing, trust is dwindling, and recent developments in Nigeria looks like a carryover of events from the last 12 months. Well, you can join the conversation and share your thoughts with us on Twitter at TVC News NG. We take a report now, and Africa Today will be right back. Welcome on board.
When 45-year-old Godwin Vincent left Nigeria for Libya, he did so with both his legs in perfect condition. 4 years later, he is back to his country, but his legs are nowhere in sight. He tells the sad story of the tragic incident that changed his life forever.
The story happens in where I was working in Libya. I'm a car wash. I'm a car wash, engine changing oil. Then after that is washing your engine, maybe you want to change oil. Then the person that came in the morning, 9 o'clock, for me to change the oil and wash the engine. So it happens that after finishing the job, he could not pay me. Give me the money, he used gun and pay me the money. By spreading the gun on my leg as if he's spraying water. I was in the hospital complete 6 good months to 7 months. Look at this place now. This is where the bullet touch and break the leg again. This place is operated. This thing is operated. Look at the nerve. There's something fixing here.
The case of Godwin also raises questions about the level of seriousness with which Nigerian embassies cater for the welfare of Nigerians living abroad.
Now they use gun and scatter my leg. 15 years old boy. Everybody know, the embassy know. I submit the problem to the embassy. Embassy could not help. Every embassy could not do anything. Nigerian embassy in Libya, they could not do anything till today.
He also reminded the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, of his promise 2 weeks ago to provide him with prosthetic legs to enable him walk unaided.
When I came here now, the Minister of Health saw me. He couldn't even do anything. Minister of Health, not Commissioner of Health. I said Minister of Health, Nigeria. If we're around that I'm in this condition, as a family of him is in this condition, wouldn't you help? Is it because I'm not the family or what? This I'm a full citizen of Nigeria. The Minister of Health said that he will assist me by financially putting me leg, and give me assistance financially. He has not done it.
So what do you want him to do?
I want him to do that.
Godwin Vincent was amongst those who returned with the first flight from Libya a fortnight ago, but sadly he is yet to be evacuated from this temporary shelter in the Port Harcourt International Airport. This is due to unresolved controversy surrounding his actual state of origin. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
The new year may just be 19 days old, but Nigeria finds itself at crossroads between repeating mistakes of the past and redeeming hope for the future. Joining me in the studio on Africa Today, I have Dr. Charles Nwadiani, lawyer and a politician based in Delta State, South-South Nigeria. Good to have you here on the program.
Good evening.
Yes, no doubt you've seen the report, and it brings back some memories, some stories that some Nigerians get to, wonder why this happens sometimes. But let's look at the recent developments that greeted the most of what we saw, especially in the new year. What are your thoughts on all that happened just barely a few weeks into this new year?
I must admit that it's sad that the security situation of the nation is degenerating by the day. But basically, I feel that the police is rather compelled to do more of arrests and publicity than doing preventive policing that is of benefit to Lagos State, Osun State, Ogun State, and to a large extent, Ekiti State.
Preventive policing, by that, how do you mean?
What I mean by preventive policing is you prepare for the evil days. You do more of intelligence gathering. Wherever you have issues of organized crime, you nip it in the bud before it becomes a cancer to the members of the public. Such is the pathetic state of events in Benue State. My sincere condolences to the good people of Benue State. It's quite painful, but I must state that despite the fact that the governor of that state is a member of my party, he failed in his responsibility to protect the citizens.
How is that?
Now, I will give you scenarios of 3 states. One, I'll take from the most senior, and I'm talking of Osun State. In the build-up to the second term elections of Mr. Rauf Aregbesola in 2014, there were mass purchases of Amos personal carrier vehicles. He even got helicopters, I think about 2 of them, for surveillance across the state, which has kept the state secured even as we speak. For any commissioner of police to perform in any state, first, it must be the duty of the governor of that state to produce an enabling environment for the police to perform. I'm also going to take the case of Ogun State. You will realize that before Governor Amosun came to power in Lagos, in Ogun State, we had these frequent issues of organized crime along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, popularly known as the Long Bridge. When he came, he got special vehicles unmanned, about 40, 50 pieces, if I can remember vividly. Today, you don't have such. It was the headsmen, the Fulani headsmen. We lost a general from Delta State, from my local government precisely in Agbo, on that road. For crying out loud, when Mr. Fatai Owosheni was the CP in Lagos, we had cases of bunkering and hostage taking in Arepo, which filtered or found its way into Lagos State on the Ikorodu axis via Agric. When this new CP came on board, of course, the former CP did his very best. He was always on top of the game, but because it was not preventable, they were doing more of arrests, tracking, and location of criminals. In the present day Lagos, you will admit that even if we didn't give the CP a chance, the fact that the governor provided enough enabling environment for him, you can hardly hear of organized crimes in Lagos anymore.
Well, in the situation in Benue State, although I'm not going to speak for him, but from what we have as a report, he said that he notified the federal government of threats to the life of the people in Benue State, and as well as, you know, in order to curb what we have been seeing in the state, for instance, what happened in Agatu in 2016, where about 2,000 people died, to forestall the incident, anti-grazing law was, you know, set up. So how can you now say that he didn't do enough to protect his people? Because he did the best he can. But perhaps, you know, the state was overwhelmed. So wouldn't you say the federal government should have at least heeded to his call when he wanted help?
Okay, madam, I will certainly respond to you and with facts. The vice president came out to deny the fact that the governor informed them. I hope you're aware of that. And the governor has not shown any document purporting to be an alarm raised. Do not forget that this is not the first crime or the first case of herdsmen killing in Benue State. We had the Agatu killings. At the advent of this administration, when Mr. Solomon Arase was Inspector General of Police.
I will give you a small instance in Delta. I'm not going to be party-oriented here. I'm going to be speaking facts the way it is, so that we take precautions and do what is necessary. There is this young man from PDP in Ethiopia East. I'm sure that's the local government.
In Delta
Evans.
State?
Yes, in Delta.
Okay.
Evans Iwuri. Herdsmen destroyed farmlands in the state, precisely in his local government. He got the police, the SSS, and the local vigilantes. Today, it's a thing of the past.
So you were saying that perhaps, individuals can prevent this from happening?
This is someone that carries the mandate of the people. Okay. How much more the governor of a state that controls the apparatus of governance?
All right, let me hold your thoughts for now. We need to go on a very quick break. You're watching Africa Today, and we have been discussing issues affecting Nigeria as a polity since the start of the new year. Stay with us for more discussions after this break. Recently, Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, released the timetable ahead of elections, which is barely a year now and a month away. How Nigeria has fared in almost 3 years depends on who you ask and the perspective from which they want to judge. Now, let's look at the elections coming up, about a year from now. What's your assessment on the level of the opposition in politics? Because right now, one would say that we do not have any opposition.
Okay.
We just have more political parties being registered by INEC, but we haven't seen the strength of the opposition in recent times for now. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I basically feel that we are engaged in bread and butter politics now.
Bread and butter politics, explain please.
Bread and butter politics simply means politics without definitive interest and position. You will recall that ACN, AD, and APC was in opposition for 16 years. The resolute, the determined, and those who want the best for Nigeria remained where they are. They didn't jump the boat because of what they stood to benefit. Today, those that would have formed the plank of what is called opposition in Nigeria are already in the APC.
So what do you think is responsible for this, jumping ship?
That is what I call the bread and butter politics.
So isn't there a way
infrastructure.
Isn't there a way to, contain this style of politics we have in our country today?
Unfortunately, our laws does not provide for it. Even in the National Assembly, where a level of integrity is supposed to come to play, it is ship jumping that they are engaged in. You saw the shameful conduct of the senator from Ebonyi State a couple of days ago. This is a senator who supposedly campaigned for a position. After campaigning for the position, he was elected by his people. My belief is that for you to campaign and win elections, irrespective of how you got to the Senate, you have the mindset. You got to the Senate, you're dumping the PDP for the APC, they engaged in pool dragging and shirt pulling. All of a sudden, a senator who must have premeditated on his acts and what he intends to do comes around to the nation to say, I changed my mind because my people have shown me love. Please, what manner of love played out in less than an hour? It's a shame.
All right, let's look at the youth participation now in politics. Do you think we are ready? Because right now, we are talking about youth who are trying to come into politics, and it seems to be that we are more like having the same bandwagon we've had over the years. Do you think the youth definitely will come into politics in this election?
Well, I must state that my party, the APC, has not fared better in terms of youth participation and engagement. But don't forget, the youth were the plank. in the success of the Buhari's administration or the electioneering process. My leader, my boss, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, engaged the youth more. And they did the magic. Go and check everyone in that team. None of them is up to 50. Sunday Dari, Rahman, myself, and a host of others who played key roles. Even the young man from Delta too, Professor Nwokobia. None of them is over 50. We believe that the first stage to getting it right is the forthcoming convention.
Of the APC,
of the APC. It will not go the same way. We're going to engage the leaders of the party who mean well for the party to give the youth a space to operate. It is not going to be business as usual.
Really?
Yes, it is not.
So what will be different?
If the big men are funding a candidate, we will stay aside and fund ours.
Okay.
We'll match them money for brain. We are more enlightened, for crying out loud.
And incidentally, you're the governorship aspirant.
Well, I'm in the governorship race in Delta.
So what are you going to bring? What are you bringing to the table so that people can take you seriously?
I'm bringing innovation, and I'm bringing a better Delta into the race. I'm bringing experiences gathered from the mentorship of Rauf Aregbesola and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I'm bringing courage, and I'm bringing hope for the youth.
And let's look at your party, the APC. How strong is it in the South-South region? Do you think that you can definitely break the file rank of the PDP?
In all sincerity, I do not see PDP anywhere in the South-South.
Really?
Especially Rivers, Edo, and Delta.
Why is that?
Because elections are never taking place there.
Well, elections have held in those
No.
states. So what do you call them?
They've always written results. They've always written election results. Okay, in the build-up of, on the eve of the declaration of the presidential election, I called engineer Rauf Aregbesola and I said, "Okay, look, they are allocating 2.3 million votes to President Jonathan, as he was then known, over and above the incumbent. Because we opposed the writing of the results. So, as far as I'm concerned, there is no PDP in Edo, Delta, and Rivers. I can't speak for Cross River. I can't speak for Akwa Ibom. But I know that the APC had a good outing in Akwa Ibom in the last governorship election. We have only Cross River left. So what are we even talking about?
So you are certain that the APC,
I am
your
very confident of the fact that when we get an INEC election, the story won't be the same.
All right, let's move away from politics now. Let's come to still this matter of insecurity, where the southern leaders, have had a meeting with the Middle Belt leaders as well since the herdsmen clash with farmers, and they proposed that the best way out to resolve this logjam we're having in our polity today is restructuring. But the president has come out to say that that isn't his priority for now. Do you think that restructuring, we can never see that debate or that coming to fruition in Nigeria?
I agree with you that restructuring is key, but what are the terms?
So what are the terms you're looking at?
The proponents should drop the terms, let's see.
So what you do want to see, if or to ask, is that?
I think the most important thing first is to revisit the 1963 Constitution.
And do you think that would work?
I feel it will work. It's a few amendments.
Okay.
Converting from parliamentary system of governance to the presidential. That is basically the difference, the type of governance. But where the region controls their resources will pay the nation better. So I do not know what their terms for restructuring is. Maybe when we look at their terms, we consider their terms, we can mobilize the youth to engage Mr. President. But for now, most of the proponents of restructuring are doing it for political basis and gains. They want to win elections.
Really? So
they want to remain relevant.
You don't think there's any genuine call?
There is none yet.
But what What if perhaps, you know, it's all about resource control, it's all about having to be in charge of your state, of your local government, so that the people can feel the impact of the government, as it were, in this proponent of restructuring?
If that is the issue, what will be the citizens' participation in the resource control? Some governors are earning 13% derivation, ecological funds. Name it. Lagos doesn't have any of this. Osun doesn't have any of this. Ogun doesn't have any of this. You can't compare it to Delta, where I come from. Please, why don't you take time to take a trip around Delta State? Take a trip around Delta State and tell me if resource control should be left at the mercy of the governor.
So what would you suggest?
Until I see a better blueprint. I am not a proponent for restructuring.
So what would you, you know, like to see if you're not a proponent of restructuring?
Good leadership.
Okay.
Good leadership. When we have good, genuine and genuine leadership, the country will be better off.
Leadership from the federal, from the central, or where?
At all levels. The time to act is now. The more youth you have in engagement and in productive ventures, especially in positions of leadership, the better for our country.
Finally, let's wrap up this now. Let's look at this recent migration of Nigerians to Libya, and where we had most of the migrants were Nigerians, about 5,000, you know, about that number is being repatriated back into the country. What do you think about this? You know, what does it mean to you as a Nigerian that a lot of us are leaving the shores of this country for, you know, what they do not expect? Some are being ill-treated, some are kept in detention camps. Some, you just saw a report that we played earlier on where a man lost his leg. So just because they want to get to Europe, what are your thoughts? What really comes to mind when you see things like that?
It's multifaceted. I must start by saying that it's quite painful that the bad leadership is partly responsible for the development and negative trend. I must also add that the greed for material things is also largely responsible.
On the part of Nigerians who are trying to leave this country?
On the part of Nigerians.
Who are trying to leave illegally?
Trying to leave illegally. I must be frank to you that the likes of Tony Elumelu, who is also from Delta, Otega Imero, who is from Delta, Fola Diola, and the rest of them, some of them were not born with silver spoons. They had it rough, they had it tough, they had it bad, but they remained resolute and committed to the fact that they must grow within the nation. I admit, without exception, that the country has not provided opportunities for businesses to grow, for young entrepreneurs to rise beyond and above their present level of status.
So in a nutshell, where would you like to put all this all together?
2019 beckons. The vote of the common man counts. Choose leaders that will do the bidding of the people. Check the antecedents. With that, we'll get somewhere as a nation and as a people.
All right, and on that positive note, I'd like to thank you very much, Dr. Charles Nwadiani, lawyer, politician based in Delta State, and also a governorship aspirant for the APC in Delta State. Thank you very much for all you've said on the show.
Thank you very much.
Now, these are interesting times in Africa where the revolution seems to have gone from the streets to the ballot, showing that even the most entrenched African leader can be defeated in a credible election by a resolute opposition. On the part of the people, it all starts by setting the record straight, redefining the status quo, and raising the standard for leaders to either step up or step out. And that is our package for today. But don't forget to join the conversation, as usual, on Twitter at TVC News NG. And follow me for updates around Africa at Esther TVC News. Until the next one, I am Esther Makwariola, and always remember, change starts with you.